On January 22nd, 1984, Apple declared war during one of the biggest days of the year, one of the biggest cultural days and times of the year, the Super Bowl. Who did they declare war on? Competitor? No, on conformity itself. They revolutionized advertising as we knew it. They revolutionized Super Bowl ads as we knew it. That's why Apple is still Apple. And that's why Apple really started things off. What's up? I'm Eddie, the Madman, here with another reaction. Today I'm going to be reviewing and showing you why the 1984 ad from 1984, cleverly, not really, I mean, that's why they call it 1984, it was from 1984. It's also not why, because Orwellian, the book. Anyway, I'm going to review that ad and tell you why it was genius and why it was one of the greatest ads and still to this day one of the greatest ads of all time. So let's, as I say, roll the tape.
Today we celebrate the first glorious anniversary of the information purification directives. We have created, for the first time in all history, a garden of pure ideology, where each worker may bloom, secure from the pests of a contradictory thoughts. Our unification of the laws is more powerful a weapon than any fleet or army on earth. We are one people. One will, one resolve, one cause. Our enemies shall talk themselves to death, and we will bury them with their own confusion. We shall prevail.
On January 24th, Apple Computer will introduce Macintosh. And you'll see why 1984 won't be like 1984.
Brilliant. Absolutely freaking brilliant. What is 1984 won't be like 1984? That's a reference to George Orwell's famous iconic book, 1984, about a dystopian society, right? But why? Why was this revolutionary? What is this? What does this have to do with anything in regards to advertising? And why even go this route? Number of reasons. First and foremost, at the time, Apple was new. They were launching a brand new product, right? It's kind of hard to believe now in 2026 saying that Apple was a disruptor or Apple was a new product. Who's Apple? Why would anyone want a Macintosh or an Apple product, right? Just kind of, it's kind of crazy to think about. But, you know, some 40 years ago, roughly, give or take, you know, that was the thing. They were considered a challenger brand, is what we call it, right? Similar to when Lexus came out in the United States, you know, and their Lexus was trying to battle against BMW and Mercedes and Audi and other luxurious brands, right? Luxurious vehicles. So they were, you know, they had to stand out. And at the time, you know, the biggest player was IBM, right? And the PC and the personal computer and this and that. But those were just seen as corporate tools. They were just very cold. You know, they're just here. It's just for data entry or whatever it is, right? Mac was different. It was about identity and like just being completely different. Think different. That's where they came up with the Think Different campaign. You know, a short time after. It was really about that differentiation. And what was revolutionary about this ad as well was, if you noticed, they never showed the product. Did you see the product? Watch. Watch this. Did you see it? Here, I can just quickly zoom through. Do you see it? Do you see a computer anywhere? Nope. 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 You just see a dystopian society with a bunch of lemmings, basically sheep, and listening to whoever this master overlord type dude is. And this woman comes in like a badass, swinging that hammer, like, yeah, kick rocks, bro. We ain't buying your nonsense. They never showed a product. They never showed a demo. They never showed anything. But they did say that on January 24th, mind you, the Super Bowl aired 2 days prior to this, right? It was January 22nd. So 2 days later, you know, basically what they're trying to do with the Super Bowl was create awareness, what you're trying to do, right? Create brand awareness, especially when you're launching a product. Like, people don't know about you. You have to separate, right? At the time, especially during the 80s, you know, there were great commercials even at that time during the Super Bowl or otherwise. But to create something this iconic and this cinematic, I mean, this commercial was filmed by Ridley Scott. If you don't know who Ridley Scott is, look him up. He's the homie who did Gladiator and Blade Runner and Alien and a bunch of other great movies, right? He's a badass director in his own right. He created this thing, right? So again, there was no product shown. There was no demo video. What they did was create a cultural revolution. And what do I do on this channel? I talk about human behavior, psychology, and insights, right? What is the insight? Understanding the universal truth or human behavior, right? That you can link, right? What is that? Let me go full screen on this bad boy. Sorry. Yeah. What do we talk about? I call it the bridge, right? So on one side you got the insight. I like to do it this way. Sorry. On one side you have the insight, the human behavior, the universal truth, right? What is that thing, right? On the other side you have the benefit. What does the benefit answer? What question does it answer? What's in it for me? So we put them together. Eventually, I'm gonna do something cool with this and edit, right? When you put them together, you make fucking magic, right? Absolute magic comes into place. So, what was the insight here? Well, internally, every single one of us has a rebellion in us, has a rebellious nature in us, right? We don't want to conform, right? As much as we may toe the line of conformity in some way or not, we also want to kind of rebel, right? Even as kids, like, nah, ma, I don't want to eat that. No, I don't want to do that. Everyone's doing this, so you're gonna do that, right? What did your parents say? If when you wanted to do what everyone else is doing, if everyone jumped off a bridge, would you do it, right? And that was my generation, what they would say, right? So anyway, they went against conformity, all of that. So how do they do that? By creating and showing this dystopian society of like this, and they basically um, personified and illustrated what IBM and all the other competition was at that time by showing this dystopian society and saying Macintosh, we're the ones throwing the hammer up in the mix. We're the monkey and the wrench, or the wrench and the monkey. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean with that, right? They're coming at it from a different angle, right? It's cultural freaking revolution. Also, during this time, again, so I talk about 1984, Orwell's book about dystopian society. During the 80s, though, was also the Cold War with Russia, right? So there was just always this like that there was a natural cultural tension going on. So they tapped into a cultural tension. They tapped into an absolute human insight and understanding that people have a rebellious nature in them, and they were trying to, again, incite and create a revolution to tell people, hey, you know what? Everyone's got a rebel in them. Why are you going to IBM? Are you like them? Are you sheep? No, you're an individual. You think different. You're a different person. You need a Mac for that. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant commercial. So, there's a reason why it's one of the greatest commercials of all time. And it's not just because, ooh, they did something different, some 35, 40 years ago, right? No, that was 40 years ago, 42 years ago. Jeez. Um, it's not just because they did different for the sake of different, which is smart, brilliantly smart. By the way, how many celebrities did you spot in there? Any celebs? Did you count? Anybody do the count on the celebs? Oh, none? Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there was small time people, or maybe some people I didn't recognize, or probably didn't recognize. What's the point? Today's Super Bowl ads, one of the things that I absolutely despise about them is what I call celebrity for the sake of celebrity. Yeah, find something that's in pop culture, find something that's a cultural phenomenon, but have a great insight to start the foundation, build that storyline, bake in that benefit, the beautiful benefit, so it's so clear to understand what the hell the ad is about. And then once you have that, boom, add the star power. Everything there is the fuel. You know what I'm saying? Oh, excuse me. Everything there is the flame, right? And then the star power is the gasoline on the flame, just to make it bigger. That's the way it's supposed to be. Unfortunately, where a lot of brands fail is they think celebrity first. Ooh, who can we get for this? And I'm going to review this at one point or another. I absolutely hate this commercial. Is the Pepsi commercial with Steve Carell and Cardi B and some other people. No knock on any of the talent. Again, not their fault. They got the script, right? They're doing their thing. but they're just sitting in a cafe drinking Pepsi. Yeah, no, because celebs get together in a cafe to drink Pepsi. Please. No, they don't. No one does that shit. Doesn't make any sense. But anyway, this was just, yeah. What else did I have here in my notes? That's why I started. Yeah, public declaration of war against conformity. Yeah, looks like I covered it all. That's it. Again, understand what it is, right? What is the benefit? What's in it for the consumer? Hey, what's in it? What's the benefit? We have a brand here that's not like everyone else. You want to do something different? Great. It's not just about data entry and all that stuff, right? This is where you can do design work and you can do, a bunch of different things, and it's just different, right? Do you want to have an IBM like everyone else, or do you want to have a Mac? Interesting. It put in psychologically, it planted a seed in people on the Super Bowl, and then 2 days later, when the Macintosh actually came out, all of a sudden it made even more sense. What's the result of that? Apple. Guarantee there's a 50-50 shot that you're holding one in your hands right now. Maybe more watching this on an Apple, right? Maybe you're on a Samsung. Doesn't matter. You know about Apple. Anyway, that's all I got for today. But yeah, that's the 1984 spot. And yeah, freaking classic, courtesy of Shy at Day, one of the greatest ad agencies of all time. At least back in the day. They're still great, but back in the day, they were like, everyone wanted to work there. All right, that's it for today, folks. Eddie the Madman. Please click the link, not the link, click the like. That's what it's called, the thumbs up button, the little thingy called subscribe. By subscribing, you get to see more of these. So yeah, do that, and I will have another video out for you tomorrow. I'm going to be doing one of these babies every day. The good and the bad, the good, the bad, and the ugly. To say it right. So I love to break down why the great ads were great, why the bad ones were bad, and why the garbage ones were really garbage, like the Svedka. But I'm gonna keep bringing up the Svedka ad because it was absolute garbage. I have no idea how they got greenlit. I have no idea how they got greenlit. But yeah, and be on the lookout for my course, which will be coming to you directly in the near future. All right, everybody, have a great day. Have a great weekend. And yeah, see you soon.